While walking back from the garage, I heard my wife on the phone. "Don't worry, I'll leave him after Christmas. I just want the gifts first." She woke up Christmas morning to a house empty of furniture and a single card that read, "Merry Single Life." Hey there. We're working hard to hit our first 1,000 subscribers. If you love true, emotional stories, hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know. Now let's get into the story. You know how sometimes you overhear something you weren't meant to hear, and your whole world just kinda tilts? That happened to me 2 weeks before Christmas. I was walking back from the garage after fixing the sagging door, because guess who else was gonna do it, wiping my hands on my jeans, when I heard Rachel's voice. She was in the kitchen, standing by the window, on the phone. I paused at the side of the house, just out of view, and I swear to God, I wasn't even trying to eavesdrop. It just happened. She laughed, that flirty, fake little giggle she used to do when we first met, and said, clear as day, "Don't worry, I'll leave him after Christmas. I just want the gifts first." I stood there, listening to the leaves crunch under my boots as my body turned to stone. I didn't move for a full minute. I just stared at the side of our house, the place we'd saved for, fought for, poured everything into, the place we were supposed to start a family in. And Rachel was inside, scheming how to milk one last haul out of me before dumping me like yesterday's garbage. I don't know how long I stood there. Long enough that my hands went cold. Long enough that my heart shifted gears from heartbreak to strategy. Because right then and there, I made a decision. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to fight. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me break. If she wanted the gifts so bad, fine. I'd give her a Christmas she'd never forget. That night, I laid in bed next to her, pretending to scroll on my phone, pretending to laugh at stupid memes, pretending I hadn't just seen the real her. She kept talking about how excited she was for Christmas morning, how much she loved our traditions, how she couldn't wait to see what I got her. I just smiled and nodded and asked if she wanted hot cocoa. She kissed my cheek and said I was the sweetest husband in the world. The taste of ball hit the back of my throat. But still, I said nothing. Over the next week, while Rachel gushed about Christmas lights and cookie recipes, I got to work behind the scenes. Every day when she was at work, I sold a little more of the house. Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, private buyers. I sold the dining table we picked out together after weeks of bickering at IKEA. I sold the matching chairs she insisted on having even though they cost double what we budgeted. I even sold the damn coffee maker she loved more than me. Anything she wouldn't notice right away, gone. I boxed up my personal stuff first. Photos, my childhood keepsakes, my clothes. Stored them at my brother's place across town. Slowly, our house became hollow. Not enough that Rachel noticed, yet, but enough that by Christmas Eve, it would only take a few hours to finish the job. I also bought 2 things that week. A small fake Christmas tree from a gas station. A blank card with glittery red letters that said, "Merry Christmas." I wrote one sentence inside, nice and neat, like I was signing a guest book at a funeral. Merry Single Life. No threats. No sob story. No begging for closure. Just a cold, clean goodbye. Christmas Eve came faster than I thought it would. Rachel was bouncing around the house like a kid, baking cookies, pouring eggnog, hanging our stockings on the mantel. She even wore the stupid matching pajamas she ordered for us off Instagram. The ones that said hubby and wifey in glittery gold letters. She handed me my cup of eggnog, snuggled up next to me on the couch, and said, "You really are the best thing that ever happened to me." I sipped my drink so I wouldn't have to answer. Around midnight, she fell asleep on the couch, a plate of half-eaten sugar cookies on the coffee table in front of her. I sat there for a long time, just looking at her, trying to remember the woman I thought I married. The woman who used to dance with me in the kitchen when we were broke. The woman who said she didn't care if we lived in a shack, as long as we were together. That woman didn't exist anymore. Maybe she never did. Quietly, I set my cup down, grabbed my keys, and started loading everything that was left into my truck. The couch. The armchairs, the TV, the kitchen table. If it wasn't nailed down, it was gone. By the time the sun started rising, the house was echoey and cold. The only things left were a small fake Christmas tree in the middle of the living room, a glittery red card leaning against it, and Rachel, still curled up on the floor, blissfully dreaming about the presents she was never going to open. I took one last look around, took a deep breath, and walked out the front door. I drove to my brother's place and parked in the driveway. watched the sun climb higher over the rooftops, turning the whole street gold and pink. It was the first time I'd felt light in months, maybe years. My phone buzzed in my pocket, but I ignored it. Instead, I sat there sipping gas station coffee, picturing the moment when Rachel would wake up and realize what had happened. According to my brother, who had access to the security cameras I'd secretly installed weeks ago, she stirred around 8:15 a.m. At first, she just blinked sleepily and rubbed her eyes. Then she reached for her phone, smiling to herself. Then the smile slipped. She sat up slowly, looking around the empty living room like she'd stumbled into a stranger's house. Her mouth started moving, calling for me. No answer. She stood up, stumbled toward the kitchen, bare. The dining room, empty. The hallway, hollow. Rachel ran back to the living room, spun around like maybe she was on some sick prank show. And that's when she saw it. The tiny fake tree. And the card. She picked it up with trembling hands. Read the front. Opened it. Read the inside. Her whole body seemed to crumple inward. She dropped the card on the floor, looked around one more time like maybe she could wish it all back into existence. And then she screamed. Update 2. Watching Rachel unravel was like watching a building collapse in slow motion. It would have been almost beautiful if it hadn't been so pathetic. My brother and I watched on his security app as she stumbled around the empty house, trying to make sense of it all. Calling my name. Checking closets. Opening and slamming kitchen drawers like maybe, just maybe, she'd find me hiding in one. She tried calling me first. No dice. I blocked her number the night before. She tried texting me. A long string of increasingly panicked messages, each one more desperate than the last. Mike, where are you? Is this some kind of joke? Come home right now. I swear to God if you don't come home. I can explain. Please. I muted the notifications without reading most of them. There was nothing left to say. Around 10 a.m., the panic shifted. Rachel realized she wasn't just dealing with an empty house. She was trapped. Because while I was boxing up furniture that week, I also quietly drained our joint bank account. Every dollar that was mine gone. Transferred to an account she didn't even know existed. Her credit cards? Froze them. The car? In my name. Took it too. The utilities? Scheduled for shut-off that afternoon. I wasn't leaving her high and dry. No, she still had the house deed and the mortgage that went with it. All hers, baby. Merry Christmas. Rachel must have realized it around lunchtime because she stopped calling me and started calling backup. First, she dialed her friend, the guy she was planning to run to after Christmas. Good old David. You know, the guy she giggled with on the phone. The guy she promised she'd leave me for, just as soon as the last gift was unwrapped. She called once. No answer. She called again. Straight to voicemail. She texted him. Please pick up. I need you. Nothing. What she didn't know was, I'd recorded that little phone conversation she had in the kitchen. And about an hour after I packed up my last box, I sent it to David, with a nice little bow on top. Turns out, David wasn't too thrilled to find out he was just the next sucker in line. That he wasn't her soulmate, like she told him. That he was just step 2 in a long con. So David did what any self-respecting dirtbag would do. He blocked her, deleted her number, pretended he never even knew her. By 2 p.m., Rachel was pacing the empty living room in circles, clutching her phone like it was a lifeline, tears running down her face, still wearing those stupid matching pajamas. I could almost hear the gears grinding in her head. Maybe there's someone else I can call. And that's when she remembered. Backup plan number 2. A guy named Nick. A guy I barely knew about, until I found some old texts buried deep in her email account last month. Turns out, Rachel had been planting seeds with Nick too, just in case things with David didn't work out. Nick was the kind of guy who thought buying a girl Starbucks twice meant she owed him a lifetime of loyalty. Pathetic, but perfect for her plan B. Rachel called Nick. He picked up. She launched into some sob story about how I abandoned her, and she had nowhere to go, and could he please come pick her up? Nick agreed immediately, told her he'd be there in 20 minutes. Rachel grabbed her purse, wiped her face, and sat by the front window like a sad puppy waiting to be rescued. But 20 minutes passed, then 30, then 40. No Nick. She called him back, straight to voicemail. Called again. Nothing. Turns out, and this is my favorite part, Nick had only agreed to pick her up because he thought she still had money. When he realized her accounts were frozen and the house was practically condemned, he bailed. Apparently loyalty has a price tag. By sunset, Rachel was pacing again, but slower this time. Defeated, still clutching her useless phone like it could somehow undo the disaster she'd built for herself. She tried calling her friends next, the ones who used to take her side in every argument, no matter what. But funny thing about friends, they like being on the winning side. And right now, Rachel looked like a loser. Most of them ghosted her. A couple answered just long enough to tell her they were busy with family stuff and hang up. When the house finally went dark that night, no lights, no heat, no cozy little Christmas magic. Rachel sat alone on the floor, huddled in a blanket, staring at the tiny fake tree. She picked up the card again. Read it one more time. Merry single life. I watched her curl into herself like a dying spider. And for a second, just a second, I almost felt bad. But then I remembered the sound of her laughter on the phone. The way she said it, so casually, like my life was just some game she was winning. And the pity evaporated. Around midnight, my phone buzzed again. Another text from Rachel. This one longer. Messier, I can't believe you would do this. You ruined everything. I loved you. I was just confused. You were supposed to fight for me. You were supposed to stay. You didn't even try. I read it twice. Laughed once. And finally, for the first time since this whole thing started, I texted her back. 3 words. Simple. Clean. Final. Merry single life. Blocked her number for good after that. Update 3. A lot of people messaged asking if Rachel ever tried to come back. Short answer. Yeah, of course she did. The longer version's a little messier. After that last text I sent her, Merry single life, I figured that would be it. End of the story. Done. But people like Rachel, they don't just disappear. They orbit you. They linger like smoke in your clothes after a house fire. You think you're breathing clean air again, and then, wham, there's that stink right back in your lungs. First few days after Christmas were silent. No calls. No texts. Nothing. I stayed with my brother through New Year's, trying to figure out my next move. The house technically still had my name attached to a few things, stuff I couldn't just walk away from without making sure it wouldn't come back to bite me. So I filed the paperwork, made it legal, transferred ownership, cut every last tie. Rachel didn't fight it. She didn't have the money for a lawyer anyway. By mid-January, she was officially on her own. I got a new place. Nothing fancy, just a little apartment over a coffee shop downtown. Smelled like burnt espresso half the time, but it was mine. Clean walls. No memories soaking into the floorboards. I bought myself a used couch, a mattress off a clearance rack, a secondhand TV. Started building my life again, piece by piece. No fanfare. No grand announcements. Just breathing. Existing. Finally. And then, right when I thought the smoke had cleared, there she was. One cold Friday afternoon in February, my office intercom buzzed. I was sitting at my desk, chewing on the end of a pen, halfway through approving invoices, when the receptionist's voice crackled through the speaker. Mike, there's someone here asking for you. I almost didn't look up. Almost said, tell them to email me. But something in her voice, that weird, nervous edge, made me ask, who is it? A long pause. Then, she says her name's Rachel. I stared at the intercom like it had just called me from another universe. Rachel. Here. At my office. What the hell was she thinking? I stood up, walked over to the tiny security monitor above the door, and hit the button. And there she was, standing on the sidewalk in front of the building. Soaked. No jacket. No umbrella. Hair plastered to her face from the rain. Holding a soggy paper bag, probably some pathetic peace offering. Looking about as miserable as a person could without actually sinking into the concrete. For a second, just a second, my gut twisted. Not because I missed her. God, no. It was more like watching a car crash you can't look away from. Pity maybe, but no love, no anger. Nothing left that mattered. Just ashes. She buzzed the intercom again. I pressed the speaker button and said, what do you want? Rachel looked up at the camera, blinking water out of her eyes. Mike, she said, her voice cracking. Can we just talk? Please. I need to see you. I could have let her in. Could have played the bigger person. Could have listened to her beg, cry, spin 1,000 half-truths about how she was confused, or made a mistake, or needed time to grow. But I didn't. Because I didn't know her a goddamn thing. I leaned into the mic and said, calm as a winter morning. You're just a memory now. Good luck out there. And I hung up. Watched through the monitor as Rachel stood there for a minute, staring up at the camera, like she couldn't believe it was really over. Then she turned, clutching the soggy paper bag to her chest, and walked away into the rain. That was the last time I ever saw her. No more texts. No more calls. No surprise visits. Just silence. Sometimes, when I'm sitting by the window in my little apartment, sipping coffee and watching the rain, I wonder where she ended up. If she ever found someone else to latch onto. If she ever realized that people aren't prizes you win at the end of some stupid game. But honestly, it's not my problem anymore. This Christmas, I didn't buy anyone fancy gifts. I didn't decorate a big tree. I didn't throw a party. I bought myself peace. And for the first time in a long, long time, it was enough. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day, and trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.